今天发工资了。
I just got paid today, but I'm not happy at all. Guess how much I got? Our company last paid us sometime in late October, and now we just got paid again, 1,700 yuan in total. This is the last month of 2024. Over the year, they probably owed us 3 or 4 months' worth of wages. At first, we used to get paid at the start of the month. Then it got delayed to the end of the month. Before you know it, a whole month's salary just disappears. After waiting for more than a month, almost 2 months' worth of salary, and I just got 1,700 yuan. I genuinely find this super funny. A TikToker from Heilongjiang shared her salary situation in December 2024. According to her account, her company delayed paying wages for about 3 to 4 months throughout the year. She expressed frustration and bitterness about the situation. This isn't an isolated case in China, especially in grassroots government offices and public institutions. A user from Liaoning commented, "That's not bad. My wife works in public institution and hasn't been paid for 14 months. Another person remarked, "Getting only 1,700 yuan isn't the scary part. The scary part is that you didn't even think about quitting. You can just stay home and get 2,000 yuan of unemployment allowance. Why stick around for a job paying barely over 1,000? So, why do so many civil servants continue working even when their salaries aren't paid? One young man addressed this question.
You know what's scarier now? It's not just that some government employees haven't been paid for 3 months. What's scary is that even after 3 months without pay, no one's quitting. I don't get it. So I asked them why. They said, well, if I'm just lying around at home anyway, at least here they're still paying for my social security and housing fund. That's the beauty of the public sector, always thinking a step ahead.
Civil servant and public institution jobs have long been seen as the most stable careers, often referred to as the iron rice bowl that many young people in China dream of. Despite frequent reports of delayed wages for civil servants, teachers, and doctors in various regions, the number of applicants for government jobs continues to break records every year. Even overseas graduates are lining up to apply for town-level civil servant positions. Compared to unstable corporate jobs, government positions in China remain highly attractive. However, even those holding these iron rice bowls are filled with anxiety and helplessness when faced with delayed wages. Recently, an article titled, "The Situation is Getting Worse, Salaries in Small Counties Are Collapsing," gained traction online. The article's author mentioned a conversation with a high school classmate from his hometown county. The classmate's salary had dropped from 2,000 yuan to 1,500 yuan, and he complained about how life was getting harder. When asked how he managed, the classmate replied that he simply saved wherever he could and worked food delivery after hours to make ends meet. This classmate's job is still within the public institution system, yet his salary has fallen to 1,500 yuan per month. It's ironic that while big cities see mass layoffs in companies, small counties experiencing collapsing wages for civil servants. Several videos show that in many counties, fewer people are going out to spend money. Stores are closing in large numbers, and big shopping malls are either shutting down entirely or downsizing. The decline is visibly apparent.
It's 7 p.m. now. Let me show you the situation. Look, this is a school gate. There's a high school and a middle school over here, and a kindergarten over there. Look around. Every other shop is closed. Just take a look inside. How many stores have shut down? They just can't keep going. Let's walk further down the street so you can see the economic state of this town. I'm in the old part of town now. Take a look. There's barely anyone on the streets. You tell me, where's the spending supposed to happen? How can people spend money when there's hardly anyone around? Look at this Wallace fast food place. It's 7:30 p.m. and there's barely anyone inside. Now let me show you this well-known food street. It's empty. Really, there's no one here. Just look at how desolate it is. Honestly, in this small county where I live, people my age have pretty much disappeared. I've walked so long and haven't seen anyone my age. Look at this. This used to be a bustling food street. Now take another look. It's just desolate. Let me show you up ahead. This is the very center of town. Check out this shop, and then the one across the street. Let's walk a little further and look at the storefronts and the whole street view. It's just so desolate. It's 7:35 p.m. now. Take a look over there. Still closed. As for why they're not open, well, it's really not hard to figure it out.
China has around 2,000 counties and county-level cities. Apart from a few wealthy areas near major cities, most are facing unprecedented challenges. With labor and young people continuing to migrate to larger cities, county populations are rapidly shrinking, leading to economic stagnation. The latest census shows that the average permanent population in counties is just 399,200, with a youth outflow rate exceeding 30%. What's more concerning is that many of the young people who remain only stay because they lack opportunities to leave. The financial situation in these counties is equally troubling. In the past, they relied heavily on central government transfers and land sales to sustain operations. However, with the economy slowing down and coastal cities seeing reduced fiscal revenue, central government transfers have tightened. The ongoing slump in the real estate market has further drained land sales revenue. Adding to the difficulties, many counties previously took on local and urban investment bonds to fund large-scale infrastructure projects, aiming to maintain a facade of prosperity. Now, debt levels have hit their limits, and the pressure to repay is immense. Without strong industrial support, these regions struggle to generate their own economic growth. The few small businesses still operating are barely enough to sustain the county's economy. The lack of fiscal revenue directly impacts the ability to pay public employees, making delayed wages increasingly common. Abandoned construction projects are now a common sight, standing as stark reminders of economic decline. These unfinished buildings not only affect the cityscape, but also symbolize the county's financial troubles. If this trend continues, may mirror that of many rural villages, left only with the elderly and children. Some suggest that 90% of small counties are disappearing, and this is not an exaggeration, but a reflection of harsh realities. At the beginning of 2024, county-level civil servant jobs were still highly coveted. Terms like county elite and county upper-class lady were trending online, reflecting the admiration these positions received. But in just 1 year, the county elite status has quickly faded. During the 2024 Chinese New Year, a video of a young migrant worker returning to their hometown for the holidays went viral online. Before I moved to Beijing, I thought coming home for the holidays meant city folks returning to the countryside, but after coming back, I realized it's more like a villager visiting the big city. I felt like Granny Liu visiting the Grandview Garden, the poorest, most out-of-touch one there. My hometown is a small county in Jiangxi with fewer than 400,000 people. I always thought it was an economically backward and poor place with low living standards, but when I came home this year for the New Year, I realized life in the county was better than mine in Haidian. Some classmates stayed in town. One drives a BMW, another lives in a big villa, and someone else inherited a 1,000 square meter fish pond. When they heard I came back from Beijing, they were all envious of me. I have no idea what they were jealous of. Maybe the fact that I was working overtime with colleagues at 9 p.m. on New Year's Eve. There's no such thing as cutting back on spending here. A 2,000 to 3,000 yuan coat goes on sale for 1,300 yuan during the holidays, and the town's wealthy women buy it without blinking. Maybe they earn just 3,000 or 4,000 a month, but their lifestyle and spending power far exceed those grinding away in big cities. Being able to stay in a big city isn't the real flex. Living in a small town while eating cherries every day and buying clothes worth thousands, that's impressive. A young woman working in Beijing for years returned to her hometown, only to realize that she was the poorest among her peers. In school, she was a top student who got into a prestigious university and later built a life in Beijing, working hard under an intense 996 schedule, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. She gradually gained a foothold in the city, buying a house and a car. On the surface, she appeared to be part of the urban middle class. However, like many young people working in big cities, she found herself burdened by high mortgage and car payments, while facing the risk of layoffs, pay cuts, company bankruptcies, and defaults. Life became increasingly difficult, with little sense of happiness. Upon returning home, she was shocked to find that former classmates who didn't perform as well in school were thriving in the county. Thanks to family connections, they had secured positions and resources, living comfortably. The contrast left her feeling frustrated and resentful. One commenter remarked, "You're missing the point. The reason you're poor is simple. Your parents are poor." Another added, "Only the rich and powerful can stay and succeed in the county. We should be grateful that big cities offer kids without connections decent jobs and incomes." But with the current economic climate, many job opportunities and decent wages in big cities are becoming increasingly rare. Many young people are unemployed or haven't found work after graduation. With no income and high living costs, staying in big cities has become unsustainable. As a result, the question, if I can't stay in the city, should I return to my home county, has sparked widespread debate on social media. It remains a hot topic to this day. I can't make it in the big city. Is going back to our hometown county an option? I've been in Beijing for 6 years and unemployed for 7 months. I went back home for half a month in October. I found that development in the county isn't as behind as I thought. The same milk tea shops you see in the big cities are opening up. My friends who stayed seem to be doing pretty well, living in spacious apartments, driving luxury cars, and getting off work by 5 or 6 p.m., going on road trips over the holidays, buying branded cosmetics, clothes, bags, and the latest phones. Honestly, as someone stuck working 996 in Beijing, I envy them. But if I stayed in the county, what would I do with a bachelor's degree? After asking around, I realized some jobs in the county require more than just ability. You need connections. For someone like me, from an ordinary background, I can't become part of the county's upper class. Drifting in the city seems the only way out. I can't go home, and I can't stay in the big city. Maybe this is the lifelong struggle for ordinary people like me. As the young woman noted, living like nobility in a small county is not something ordinary people can achieve. Those who can are part of a special group known as the county elite. Counties in China are typical connection-driven societies. In counties with millions of residents, only a few hundred hold actual power. This elite group, referred to as the county elite, forms a hereditary upper class that monopolizes political and economic resources through family ties and marriage. They control the distribution of public sector jobs, including positions for civil servants, teachers, and other government roles. Private business owners and local strongmen connected to them form the upper economic network of the county. Even if they don't know each other personally, their connections allow them to quickly establish relationships. In this environment, ordinary people without connections find it hard to secure good jobs. Passing civil service exams is even more difficult, as the limited positions are already reserved by the county elites. In counties, personal connections outweigh talent, and even disputes are often resolved through relationships rather than legal channels. By monopolizing resources, these county elites can enjoy comfortable lives. Their spending power and living standards sometimes surpass the new middle class working in major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. For young people without connections, returning to the county often means facing significant obstacles. Many advise moving back without the right contacts. A 33-year-old man reached out to Chinese writer and host Da Bing, expressing his desire to return to his hometown to escape the fast pace of city life. Da Bing offered this advice.
From the time you started school until now, you've been one of those kids hustling outside, trying to make a living. Now that you're back, you can't compete with the county's elite. Even people your age, in their 30s, who never left the county, have already secured whatever limited resources there are. You can't squeeze in. Trying to get a piece of the pie, and a big piece at that, is nearly impossible. And the further down you go, the more society revolves around connections and favors. You can't just coast through. It's not possible.
This vlogger also advises young people not to romanticize life in small counties, warning that the comfort and stability are often imagined and unlikely to apply to them. Don't waste your youth in small counties. That's the biggest lesson I learned from going home for the Chinese New Year. In small counties, your degree and skills mean nothing compared to the connections and relationships. My county has hundreds of thousands of people, but just a few hundred truly hold power. Who gets land? Who owns entertainment venues? Whose kids get into the best schools? All of that is in their hands. Even if you're a successful entrepreneur in a big city, once you return to the county, they can still put you in your place. Counties run more on relationships than rules. Blood ties and connections get things done. Without a background, what opportunities do young people have in small counties? A job with a 4,000 yuan salary is considered good. Starting a small business barely scrapes by. Even in this small pond, there are plenty of sharks. Everyone's a schemer. Try reasoning with them, and they'll act tough. Talk about the law, and they'll bring up personal connections. In places where small matters rely on cunning and big matters on relationships, educated and capable young people rarely thrive. You either stay and get corrupted, or leave to chase bigger dreams. Beyond personal challenges, many counties are facing unprecedented economic difficulties. Even the good times for the county elites may be coming to an end. With fewer financial transfers from the central government and shrinking land revenue, county economies are in decline. Lacking industrial and tech-driven development, many counties are struggling to grow. Administrative restructuring and mergers could further weaken the elite's power, disrupting the distribution of benefits and intensifying competition within their circles. The situation is worsening, as industrial decline triggers a vicious cycle, eroding economic foundations. Falling wages drive young people away, reducing consumer spending and further shrinking the economy. This spiral is affecting not only ordinary residents, but also threatens the privileged status of the elites. As national resources concentrate in major cities and provincial capitals, the outlook for counties remains bleak. For individuals, the choices are limited: either rely on strong local connections or seek opportunities in the cities. The golden era for county elites, built on monopolies and connections, appears to be fading. As counties decline, this privileged class faces the prospect of transformation or downfall.